Welcome to the Black Lotus Temple. I know it's been a while since I've posted, but I've just been waiting and watching. We see this war going on in the Middle East. And I don't care if they're Jewish, Muslim, or Christian. It's like everybody's mouth is salivating over this. Oh, this could be the war that brings Jesus back. This could be the war that brings Al-Mahdi. This could be the war that brings the Jewish Messiah. Everyone's salivating over this. And you know what? It's the innocent people that are hurting. But see, I want to show you something today. I want to show you something very, very serious today. Everyone says that this new world order that's coming into play, and we see it coming into play every day, that this new world order is Luciferian and satanic and all this shit. And I keep telling you, it's a Jewish new world order. It's a new world order backed by Yahovah, Yahweh, Jehovah, however you want to pronounce his name. So today I'm going to take a look at two things. The Noahide law that's going to come into play, as well as the Great Seal of the United States. And I'm going to show you something. Number one, I'm going to show you that the fucking Masons have no fucking clue about their own fucking teachings. See, every evangelical and all this other bunch of bullshit looks and says, oh my God, the Great Seal is Masonic. And it spells out Mason, and the eye is Lucifer's eye, and blah, 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 blah. Christians have no fucking clue. None of the Abrahamic religions truly have a clue, except for one of them. Trust me, the Jewish religion, they know what the Great Seal is, especially if you're a Kabbalist. So let's talk about this, shall we? And at the end, I've got a little warning for the Masons. So let's talk about the Noahide laws. See, this one world religion that's going to come into play, I guarantee you, is going to have the Noahide laws in them. And I'm warning you about these laws. Now, see, Masonic mysticism came out of Christian sources. But let's truly, truly ask ourselves, how Christian is Freemasonry? Point one, all Masonic ritual and prayers never mention the name of Jesus Christ, ever. It is completely unheard of. Second, and I find this interesting, one of the most famous American Masons actually rewrote the Gospels of the Christian Bible because he wanted to leave out certain aspects of the life of Christ. And all he did was leave in the moralistic codes that all scholars agree Jesus took from the Talmudic teachings of the rabbis. It's all he left in there. Now, not one Mason, I guarantee you, well, I shouldn't say not one, but most Masons, 99.99% of Masons have no clue about this. Every Mason I know of when I was a Mason. Oh, we're Christian, we're Christian, we're Christian. And like I said, point one, no prayer, no ritual mentions Jesus Christ. And one of the most famous Masons in America rewrote the entire Gospels. And all he did was leave in the Talmudic teachings that they agreed Jesus taught. Now, this famous American that I'm talking about was also a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He served as the third president of the United States. Yes, Thomas Jefferson. The man who designed and wrote the Declaration of Independence and authored the philosophical foundation of our country. And what appears to me, and I have to say in the essence of all this, is that Jefferson wanted or was attempting to create what Judaism calls righteous Gentiles, Noahides. See, in the Jewish tradition, righteous Gentiles or Noahides, benign Noah, they're choosing to live in accordance with what they call the 7 universal principles of spiritual law. Now, see, you don't see these in the Torah or anywhere else in the Bible. You find them in the Talmud. That's where you're going to find them. And we hear in the Talmud that God gave these 7 universal laws to the Gentiles on Mount Sinai. Now, believe it or not, the United States of America was founded upon these 7 principles of so-called universal spirituality. Number 1, abstaining from idolatry. Number 2, abstaining from blasphemy. 3, you have to preserve morality. 4, no murdering. 5, no stealing. 6, you do not eat blood. And 7, you have to do justice. Now, see, there's a relationship between the Masons and these 7 universal principles, and it's not a fucking coincidence that this happened. Now, according to Albert Mackey in the History of Freemasonry, Masonic writers as early as 1723 were specifically writing about the connection between Masonry and the Noahide laws. If you look on page 410, Mackey quotes the following from an older Masonic work that was entitled The Laws or Obligations Laid Before His Brother Masons by Prince Edwin. And this is what it says, and I quote, "The first obligation is that you shall sincerely honor God and obey the laws of the Noahides, because they are divine laws which should be obeyed by all the world." And Mackey himself comments on page 411 and says, and I quote, "The meaning is that the only righteous laws which a Freemason is required to obey are those contained in the code that has been attributed to Noah," unquote. Amazing, isn't it? This is what Masonry is. It's not what it was when it first started out, but it became that way. Mackey, excuse me, Mackey makes it quite clear that the Masons were strongly influenced by these Noahide laws, these teachings of Judaism. And is it any wonder that Masons are supposed to be students of authentic biblical Kabbalah? Is it any wonder why they show how Kabbalah can be a viable, excellent path for Gentiles? Masonic interest in these laws of Noah explains why the church hated them so much. Because the first Noahide law forbids idolatry, and any prayer offered to any deity other than God the Father is considered to be idolatry as well as blasphemy. So all you Christians out there who are fighting for Israel, who love Israel, even though you can watch them on YouTube walking by nuns, spitting at them, spitting at Christian churches. So all you Christians out there that are defending Israel, you better get it through your head when these Noahide laws come into effect, and they will. The minute you pray to Jesus or in Jesus's name, you will be arrested and you will be executed by decapitation. They will cut your fucking head off. These 7 principles, my brothers and sisters, are giving, or should I say have been given, formal recognition by the United States Congress as well as President. Our government, in a formal proclamation of Congress, has declared that the Noahide principles are to be the bedrock of society from the dawn of civilization. And this proclamation was signed by President George Bush on March 20th, 1991. And every president after him has re-signed it into law. Excuse me. It's very, very windy here today, and it's messing with my allergies. Now, the Masons did not limit their influence to just words or concepts. The very seals that represent our country, that are found on the back of every fucking dollar bill, is Masonic symbolism based on their understanding of Kabbalah. And I'm going to show you. Now, see, like I said, every Christian says, oh, the seals are satanic. Yes, they're Masonic, but they're satanic. I'm going to show you. These seals are from Jehovah. I'm going to show you this. Now, the most prominent feature in the Great Seal is the continuous appearance of images in sets of 13. Now, we all know, or at least we should, that there were 13 original colonies, and they banded together to form the United States. Yet, you have to be very familiar with gematria, or Jewish numerology, to know the significance of the number 13. The founding fathers knew the significance. It's not a coincidence that the number of the original states were 13. I'm telling you, it's not. Listen up, please. In Hebrew, there is no separate system of numbers and letters. In English, there is. You have your alphabet and you have your numbers. In Hebrew, they're one and the same. So you have to understand that. Hebrew numbers have a great significance in Kabbalah. 13 is the numerical value for the Hebrew word had, which means one, as in Deuteronomy 6:4. Shema Yo Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Or, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. But it also has the numerical value for the Hebrew word ahava, love. Now, our country was founded on July 4th. This date is spelled with 13 letters. The year of the country was founded was 76. 7 plus 6 equals 13. Washington and 12 of his generals were Masons. 13 is appearing once again. And here's even an astrological aspect to this. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, which gave birth to our country, the sun was 13 degrees into the sign of Cancer, and the ascendant was therefore 13 degrees into the sign of Scorpio. So the number 13 keeps popping up everywhere. But let's look at the number 13 more closely within the seal itself. The seal of the United States is filled with references from the Masons favoring the Hebrew numerical system, especially the value for 1, because this represents their initial state of unity. So when you look, and I want you to do this, get out a dollar bill or go online and find a picture of the Great Seal, both sides. Okay, now we're going to look at the picture with the eagle. So I want you to look carefully at the Great Seal. How many 13s can you actually count? In the eagle's right talon, there's 13 leaves. There are 13 berries, which are actually olives. 13 plus 13 equals 26. And 26 is the numerical value for the name of Yahweh. Not Satan, not Lucifer, Yahweh, Jehovah. You have the letters Yud, He, Vav, He that spell out his name. That would be 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5, 26. Now there's 13 arrows in the eagle's left talon, with the number 26 concealed in the right talon and the number 13 in the left. It appears as if there's a secret. A secret what? Could it be a secret Jewish message concealed in the Great Seal? That the Lord, which is represented by the number 26, is one, represented by the number 13. Hence, we get Deuteronomy 6:4 just from looking at the 2 talons of the eagle. Now, the right wing of the eagle has 32 feathers. This number holds huge significance Kabbalistically. The first letter of the Torah begins with the Hebrew letter Bet, which equals 2. And the final letter in the Torah is Lamed, which equals 30. 30 plus 2 equals 32. 32 is also the number value of the Hebrew word for heart, Lev, which is spelled with a lamed and a bet. 32 is significant in Masonry. 32 degrees in the Scottish Rite. Now, if you look at the ancient Kabbalistic text known as the Sefer Yetzirah, or the Book of Creation, it states that God created the universe using 32 paths of wisdom. And these 32 paths are none other than the 10 Sephirot of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life with the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. These are the heart of the universe as well as our new country, hence 32. This is why there's 32 degrees. Now, on the left wing of the eagle, there are 33 feathers. 33 is very significant also to the Masons, because the 33rd degree is the ultimate degree in Scottish Rite. Very few people get that degree. Now, adding the entire number of the feathers together, we have the number 65. This points yet to another Jewish message. Adonai, or the name of the Lord, in the Bible is especially a Jewish prayer, which is always referred to as Adonai. This word in Hebrew numerically equals 65. Isn't that amazing? These are not only Jewish symbols in the seal, because if you look above the eagle's head, there's a group of 13 stars. The symbolism, if I've explained 13 correctly, but there's something different in this. Notice that the 13 stars are in the shape of the stars of David. And they are arranged in rows of 1, 4, 3, 4, 1. Even the statement e pluribus unum is spelled with 13 letters. You can't deny this. But see, now turn the seal over. Look at the reverse of the seal, because you're going to find something even more significant. When we're looking at the reverse, where the pyramid is, we're going to find even more. If you ever read a Masonic work, there is an esoteric writer known as Paul Foster Case. He was a Mason. He wrote about the Great Seal. Now, in 1935, when he wrote his book, The Great Seal of the United States, Its History, Symbolism, and Message for the New Age, he covered all these topics. See, it's not that this information isn't there, but I'll tell you what, they're not going to tell you to go look for this information. See, this is why Albert Pike tells you that the majority of those who are called Masons are deceived. It's only the princes and adepts that will understand any of this. See, Albert Pike was a Luciferian. He wrote in his books, plain and simple, that he did not want to be with Adonai. He wanted to be with Lucifer. And everyone thinks he was so thoroughly involved in the Jewishness, because you find Kabbalistic teachings all throughout Morals and Dogma. He was warning people, get involved in Kabbalah so you can understand what's going on. He warned his brothers, but he said only the princes and adepts will understand this. Now back to Casey's work, or excuse me, Case's work. This is what he says, and I quote. Case said this: as a single figure, the triangle represents the number 3 to the 4th power. Or should I say, excuse me, not 4th power. I'm trying to remember the quote. Just the number 3. And since the eye is equivalent to the Hebrew letter Ayin, having the number 70, the triangle and the eye, apart from glory, represent the number 73, which is the value of the Hebrew noun chokmah, which means wisdom. So you have the triangle representing wisdom. Now, 73 is related to the letter name Gimel. Thus, the number 73 is related to the letter which in English equals G. This is where the Masons get their G from. In other words, the eye in the triangle represents the same overshadowing wisdom that is suggested by the constellation in the crest on the obverse of the seal. All this symbolism was familiar to Kabbalists and Freemasons of the 18th century, who would certainly have understood the eye in the triangle, just as it is understood by present-day members of the craft, who learned from their monitors that the all-seeing eye is the symbol of heavenly wisdom, which the sun, moon, and stars obey, and under whose watchful care even comets perform their stupendous revelations. They also learned that the vision of this eye pervades the inmost recesses of the human heart and rewards us according to our merits. He continues, careful analysis of this unfinished pyramid underneath the eye of providence shows that in whole numbers, each of its sloping lines is 60 units long. Its baseline is 70 units, and each of the 4 lines of its square tops 24 units. Thus, the length of the 4 lines enclosing each of its trapezoidal faces would be 60 plus 60 plus 70 plus 24, or 214 units. Now, 214 is the number for the Hebrew noun ruach, spirit or breath, life. And he quotes, here is a hint that the structure of our national government was intended by its founders to be a spiritual building, truly a temple not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. 91, the length of units of each side of the finished pyramid, corresponding to that on the seal, is the number of the Hebrew word amen, signifying to be firm, to be faithful. And this also agrees with what is written in explanation of the meaning of the pyramid. The number 182, or the total length of the 2 equal sides of each face, is the number of the proper name Yaakov, and of the phrase Malach ha-Elohim, messenger of God. And here is a suggestion that the finished work of the New World Order began in 1776 and is to be the fulfillment of the promises to Jacob or Jacob, or what is known as spiritual Israel. The fulfillment is to make the completed revelation or realization of the principles of true Americanism as a message of God to all the world. Are you seeing what I'm saying when I read these quotes? And I'm not done yet. He continues, The basis of this structure of government is represented by a line of 70 units long. 70 is the number of the letter Ayin, corresponding to the eye in the triangle. It is also the number of Adam v. Chava, or in English, Adam and Eve. Thus, it suggests that the foundation of the building contemplated by the fathers of the Republic is the heavenly vision, Ayin, the eye, expressed through the illuminated consciousness of humanity, hence they named Adam and Eve. On the bottom course of the pyramid is the date, 1776. This date is significant to all students of prophecy. It is the culmination of a time period which began with the first captivity of Israel in 745 BC. 7 prophetic times from that date is a period of 2,520 years, or 7 times a prophetic year of 360 ordinary years. This makes the year 1776 the culmination of the 7 times mentioned from the book of Daniel. In the gematria of the Greek language, 1776 is the number of the phrase Soteria Israel, or the salvation of Israel. It may be regarded as mere coincidence, but the fact remains that the New World Order began in 1776, was the first to admit Jews and Gentiles to political, social, and economic equality. And since then, all over the world, except in reactionary Germany, there has been a steady trend towards the emancipation of the descendants of the tribe of Judah. Now, I told you in a video about the Shelanite Jews, which was Judah, and I warned you about them. Now, you may be wondering, are there any other points that have to do with the Great Seal? Well, all you got to do is look at Manly P. Hall. His book called The Secret Destiny of America. Because he tells you in there, the eagle on the Great Seal is supposed to resemble the mythical bird, the phoenix. And the phoenix is one of those mythical animals that are actually mentioned in the Bible. In the book of Job, I will live as long as the phoenix. Manly actually states that the majority of drawings submitted for the Great Seal were actually of the phoenix and not an eagle, because the phoenix represents rebirth, resurrection. And another interesting point is that this side of the Great Seal was only first placed on the back of the US dollar in 1935. And Hall makes note of this precarious threats to democracy that were growing in the world at that time. He suggests that maybe the state of international politics played a role in this timing of the seal. So when you want to look, my brothers and sisters, when you truly want to look at this new world order, it's not Lucifer bringing about this new world order. It's Jehovah, Yahweh, Jehovah, however you want to pronounce it. And it's the Shelanite Jews of Judah that are actively pushing all of this. And the Masons have been so infiltrated that they honestly think they're a Christian organization, and yet everything they do is Jewish. Everything they are looking at without even seeing it. I mean, it's like they say, you can't see the forest because of the trees. If you want to hide something, put it in plain sight. They're staring right at this new world order. They're staring right at the Jewish Noahide teachings and saying, we're Christian. No, you're not. You're Jewish. Freemasonry has become Jewish. And the Masons, whether they know it or know it not, are pushing a Jewish new world order. They're going to be responsible for the deaths of millions, because millions of Christians are going to look and say, I'm praying to Jesus. And they're going to have their heads cut off. Just from the seal alone, I have now shown you where this new world order is coming from. I've shown you. Now, I said it at the beginning that I have a warning for the Masons. You know, I was royally fucked over by my supposed brothers. And why? Because I brought the truth to what was going on in Masonry. And I'll tell you what, when I needed my brothers the most, they weren't there. They didn't give a flying fuck about me. You know, Albert Pike taught in Morals and Dogma, do not make the word brother repugnant. And that's what they've done. Well, you know, I've been biding my time, waiting. And now the signs are all there that I need. And I'm telling you now, all you Masons who fucked me over, all you Masons who could have fucking stood up for me, but didn't, be careful. Be careful. Now, I'm not, and I do not want this to be misconstrued. I'm not coming after you with acts of violence and no. I'm not breaking the laws. But I'll tell you what, magically speaking, watch what starts happening to all of you. All of you who could have stood there and helped me. And yet never did. No one stuck by me. All those brothers who looked at me and said, oh my God, we got to have your teachings. We want you to teach here. We want you to do this and this and this. And then when shit hit the fan, because of a Jewish Mason, everyone abandoned me. Now, see, this Jewish Mason, no one liked him. He was told by every worshipful master or anyone else in power that he would never hold the seat in the East. He would never be a worshipful master. He did nothing but stir up trouble for everyone. And you know what? I find it funny. He converted to Mormonism. So he was Mormon when he needed to be. And then he would switch back and say, well, I'm Jewish. That offends me, when he needed to be. He was like the Apostle Paul. He was everything to everyone. If he needed to be Jewish, he was Jewish. If he needed to be Mormon, he was Mormon. If he needed to be evangelical, he was evangelical. I'm coming after all of you, magically speaking. Some people have already paid. They've already been paid back. Mark my words. Life's going to get very, very difficult. Very difficult. And I'm waiting for those brothers who could have helped me to stand up and say, we'll help you now. We'll see. So just a little spiritual warning for you. The time is right. And as for the rest of you brothers and sisters out there who are listening to this, be careful what you decide and what you do. This New World Order is not a Luciferian New World Order. It's a Jewish New World Order. The Noahide laws are already in place. They haven't enforced them yet. All over the world. Even in Russia, they've signed it. Putin signed it, even in Russia. Mark my words, what's coming. Mark my words. Well, I guess I should let it there for now. Amen. So mote it be.